Greetings! Manta79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for Cardfight Vanguard Deer Days! Alrighty, let's get started. Pressing the A button now.
Cardfight Vanguard Deer Days.
Loading game and proceeding. Here we are in the main menu, off to edit deck menu. And now in today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is a Keter Sanctuaries, Phantom Blaster Overlord, D-BT09. Alright, let's begin. So going to selecting the deck, entering edit deck, and off we go. Here we are in the edit deck menu, and like I just mentioned before, the deck I'm building in today's deck profile video is a Keter Sanctuaries, Phantom Blaster Overlord deck, made up of cards only available up until D-BT09. And okie dokie, let's begin. Going to filter settings and to pack, show only cards from D-BT01, Genesis of the 5 Greats, D-BT02, A Brush of the Legends, D-BT03, Advance of Intertwined Stars, D-BT04, Awakening of Chakrabarti, D-BT05, Triumphant Return of Brave Heroes, Festival Collection 2021, Festival Collection 2022, Promo Pack number 1, D-BT6, Blazing Dragon Reborn, D-BT7, Raging Flame Against Emerald Storm, D-BT8, Minerva Rising, and D-BT9, Dragon Tree Invasion. Applying filter, packs filtered. Let's begin. First up, the Grade 3 lineup. And now for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, Grade 3, Phantom Blaster Overlord. Skills, first skill, continuous as a Vanguard. If your soul has a Phantom Blaster Dragon, this unit gets +1 critical. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard. When this unit attacks, cost, retire 2 of your rear guards. If the cost is paid, choose a blaster dart from your soul or drop, call to rear guard, and your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, that called unit, and this unit gets +10,000 power until end of turn. So for Phantom Blaster Overlord, it's the main Grade 3 to ride in this deck. Its skills the first skill. As long as the conditions the first skill are met, during your turn, your Vanguard Phantom Blaster Overlord will get continuous +1 critical, giving you more critical to make it easier to pressure or finish off your opponent with. Any second skill, when attacking, after paying the cost, you'll be able to superior call a blaster dart from soul or drop to your rear guard, and as long as the secondary conditions of the skill are met, your Vanguard and the called blaster dart give +10,000 power, giving you not only another attacker to attack with, but more power to make it easier to pressure or finish off your opponent with. And alright, the Grade 3 Phantom Blaster Overlord, we have 4 in the deck, 1 in the ride deck, 3 in the main deck. Next up, the Grade 3 Phantom Blaster Dragon. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle, choose a card with blaster in its card name from your soul, and you may call it to rear guard. Second skill, action is a Vanguard once per turn. Cost, counterblast 1 and retire 3 rear guards. If the cost is paid, choose up to 2 of your opponent's rear guards, retire them, and this unit gets +10,000 power, +1 critical until end of turn. So for Phantom Blaster Dragon, it's one of the main Grade 3s to play in this deck. Its skills, the first skill, when you ride this card, you can superior call any blaster from your soul to serve as a potential front row attacker, back row booster, or a rear guard whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the game. Any second skill, by paying the cost, not only do you get to clear out your opponent's field of rear guards, but you can also give your Vanguard an increase of power and critical, making it easier to pressure or finish off your opponent with. And okay, the Grade 3 Phantom Blaster Dragon, we have 4 in the deck. And next up, the Grade 3 Normal Order Gradia Gradel. Skills, first skill, continuous Regulus piece. You may only have 1 Regulus piece in your deck and use it a total of 1 time in a fight. And second skill, order, play this if you have a Grade 3 Vanguard of Persona Rite and you do not ride this turn. Activate Persona Rite, draw a card. All of your front row units get +10,000 power, and you are regarded to have Persona Road. So for Gradia Gradel, a powerful order card to play in your deck. Its skill, as long as the conditions of the skill are met and you pay the cost, you can activate the Persona Rite effect, which is drawing more cards, giving your entire front row, Vanguard and rear guard included, +10,000 power, and you're treated to have Persona Road. Thus, any skills that require you to have already Persona Road that turn, this order card can enable them for you. And affirmative, the grade 3, Gradia Gradel, we have 1 in the deck. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 2 lineup. And now, for the grade 2 lineup. For the grade 2s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, grade 2, Blaster Dark, skills for skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle or Rearguard circle, cost, counter blast 1 and retire 1 other rearguard. If the cost is paid, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, and this unit gets +1 drive until end of turn. Second skill, continuous as a rearguard during your turn. If your rearguard is retired this turn, this unit gets +5,000 power. So for Blaster Dark, he's the main grade 2 to ride in this deck. His skills, the first skill, when ridden or called by paying the cost, not only do you get to retire one of your opponent's rearguards, but if a Vanguard Blaster Dark activates a skill, you can give +1 drive to your Vanguard, giving you an increased chance of either getting more triggers or to simply restock your hand if the additional drive checks. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, your Rearguard Blaster Dark then can serve as a potential 15,000 point attacker for the front row. Alright, the grade 2 Blaster Dark, we have 4 in the deck, 1 in the ride deck, 3 in the main deck. Next up, the grade 2 Skull Witch Nemen, skills for skill, continuous as a rearguard during your turn. If you have a Vanguard of Blaster in its card name, this unit gets +5,000 power. Second skill, auto, when this unit is placed on the rearguard, if your Vanguard's clan is only Shadow Paladin, cost, counterblast 1 and put a card from your hand into the soul. If the cost is paid, draw 2 cards. So for Skull Witch Nemen, she's a support card for the Phantom Blaster deck. For skills, the first skill, as long as the conditions of the first skill are met, your Nemen then can serve as a potential 10,000 point attacker for your front row. Second skill, when called onto the rear guard while the conditions of the skill are met, once you pay the cost, not only do you get to restock your soul for later soul blast, but you can also draw more cards to restock your hand with. And okie dokie, the grade 2 Skull Witch Nemen, we have 4 in the deck. Next up, the grade 2 Knight of Severity, Cleoda. Skills, first skill, continuous as a rear guard. When this unit will be retired for the cost of the ability of your Vanguard of Blaster in its card name, it may be regarded as retiring 2 units. Second skill, auto, when this unit is retired by the ability of your Vanguard of Blaster in its card name, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, choose a Blaster Dark on your rear guard, and it gets auto as a rear guard once per turn. When this unit attacks, cost, discard a card from hand. If the cost is paid, this unit performs drive checks until end of battle. At the end of battle, retire that unit until end of turn. So for Cleotna, another support card for the Phantom Blaster deck. With her skills, the first skill, when she would be targeted for retiring for the cost of your Blaster unit skill, she may be regarded as 2 cards. So any skill from your Blaster that requires you to retire 2 or more rearguards, Cleotna then can use herself to substitute for at least 2 rearguards, making it easier to fulfill the cost and to save up more cards in your field. Any second skill, when retired for the cost of a Vanguard Blaster, as long as the conditions of the skill are met, you can give your Rearguard Blaster Dark a skill. When it attacks by paying the cost, it can also perform drive checks, thus giving you the chance of either getting a trigger or to simply restock your hand if the additional drive check. And affirmative, the grade 2 Knight of Severity, Cleotna, we have 4 in the deck. And at that, we just about covered the deck's grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 1 lineup. And now for the grade 1 lineup. For the grade 1s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, grade 1, Blaster Javelin. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is rode upon by Blaster Dark, reveal the top card of your deck, call it to rear guard as rest if it is a unit card, and discard it if it isn't. Second skill, continuous as a rear guard during your turn. If you have a Vanguard of Blaster in its card name, this unit gets +2,000 power. So for Blaster Javelin, it's the main grade 1 to ride this deck. Its skills, the first skill, when you ride Blaster Dark on top of Blaster Javelin, you have the chance to preview the top card of the deck and disappear call it as a rear guard to take advantage of in your next turn. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, your Blaster Javelin then can serve as a potential 10,000 point attacker for your front row or a 10,000 point booster for your back row. And alright, the grade 1 Blaster Javelin, we have 1 in the ride deck. Next up, the grade 1 Aegis Mare Dragon, Sentinel, Perfect Guard. Skills, for skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards with Continuous Sentinel in the deck. Second skill, auto. When this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit until end of battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand and discard it. So for Aegis Mirror Dragon, it's a perfect guard for the Keter Sanctuary Nation. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when used to guard with, discarding 1 card from hand, you can block an enemy attack. But it also has an ability unique to all perfect guards in the D standard format, which is, when used to guard with, while you have less than 2 cards in hand, you will not have to pay the usual discard 1 cost, making Aegis Mirror Dragon a potential no-cost perfect guard in desperate, last resort situations. And okie dokie, the Great One, Aegis Mirror Dragon, we have 3 in the deck. Next up, the Great One, Blitz Order, Elementaria Sanctitude. Skills for skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards with Continuous Sentinel in the deck. Second skill, Continuous. You may only have 1 Elementaria Sanctitude in the deck. Third skill, Order. If your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive, this ability can be played without paying the cost. Plays a cost of, discard a card from hand if your Vanguard is grade 3 or less. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until end of battle. Remove this card. So for Elementaria Sanctitude, it's the Blitz Order version of the Perfect Guard. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when played, discard 1 card from hand, you can block an enemy attack. But ideally, Elementaria Sanctitude works best against opponents who play decks that specialize in having a Vanguard or triple drive. For example, Grade 4s, G units, or Vanguards who have their drive checks increased by skill or card effect. Against such opponents, Elementaria Sanctitude then can serve as a potential no-cost perfect guard. And affirmative, the Great One, Elementaria Sanctitude, we are having 1 in the deck. And next up, the Great One, Witch of Pandering Bruner. Skill, Continuous as a rear guard. If you have a Vanguard of Blaster in its card name, when this unit would be retired for your cards, it may be regarded as retiring 2 rear guards. So for Bruner, another support card for the Phantom Blaster deck. With her skill, whenever a skill from your own field requires you to retire a number of your own rear guards, Bruner can substitute as 2, thus reducing the amount of cards you have to pay for any cost that require you to retire your own rear guards. And confirm, the Great One, Witch of Pandering Bruner. We have 4 in the deck. Next up, the Great One, Dragon Tree Wretch, Solda Sakab. Skills, first skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard, cost, Counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, choose one of your rear guard circles without any Dragon Tree markers and put a Dragon Tree marker. Second skill, Auto, from the back row rear guard. Once per turn, when your rear guard is placed in the front row in the same column as this unit, cost, Counterblast 1. And if the cost is paid, draw a card. So for Solda Sakab, a pretty good card to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks with its skill. The first skill, when called, by paying the cost, you can put a Dragon Tree marker to any rear guard circle in your field. Thus, any skills or effects that require you to have a Dragon Tree marker in the field, this card can supply you with 1. And the second skill, as long as it's in the back row rear guard circle, when a rear guard is called into the same column as this unit, by paying the cost, you can draw more cards to restock your hand with. And alright, the Great One, Dragon Tree Wretch, Solda Sakab, we have 3 in the deck. And with that, we just about covered the deck's Great One lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's Great Zero lineup. And now, for the Grade Zero lineup. For the Grade Zeros in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, Grade Zero, Full Bow, Skill, Auto, when this unit is ruled upon. If you went second, draw a card. So for Full Bow, it's the starting unit of this deck. Like any other starting unit in the D standard format, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when written on top of, if you're the second to go in the game, draw 1 card. And alrighty, the Grade Zero, Full Bow, we have 1 in the Ride deck. And at that, we just about covered the deck's Grade Zero lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's Trigger lineup. And now, for the Trigger lineup. For the triggers in this deck, we are playing Grade Zero, Light Dragon D-Deep Honors, Amertonia, Over Trigger, Skill, Trigger, Additional Effect. Until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the battles your rear guards attack. So for Amertonia, he's the Overtrigger for the Keter Sanctuary Nation. Like any Overtrigger in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, he features the same skill and activation, which is, when revealed during a drive check or damage check, you get 100 million power and draw 1 card. but he also features an ability unique to him alone, which is, when revealed during a drive check on your turn, for the rest of that turn, all of your rear guards can also perform drive checks, giving you an increased chance of either getting triggers or to simply increase your hand with the additional drive checks you get. And alright, the Great Zero, like the Dragon DD Honors, Amertonia, over trigger, we have 1 in the deck. Next up, the Great Zero, Volition Rigger Dragon, critical trigger, we have 4 in the deck. Next up, the Great Zero, Blade Feather Dragon, critical trigger, skill, auto as a rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted, cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. So for Blade Feather Dragon, a powerful critical trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks of its skill. After boosting the attack, regardless if the attack hits or not, as long as you don't mind moving Blade Feather from your rear guard into your soul, not only do you get to build up your soul for later Soul Blast, but you can also give a remaining attacker in your field, Vanguard or rear guard, a little extra power to work with. And affirmative, the Great Zero, Blade Feather Dragon, critical trigger, we have 4 in the deck. Next up, the Great Zero, Protection Magic, Prorabi, draw trigger, skill, continuous as a guardian. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So for Prorabi, a powerful draw trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks of her skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of her skill are met, your Prorabi then can serve as a potential 10,000 point shield on her own. And confirm the Great Zero, Protection Magic, Prorabi, we have 3 in the deck. Next up, the Great Zero, Affectionate Harp Angel, heal trigger, skill, auto. When this unit is put in the Guardian Circle, if your Vanguard's grade is less than your opponent's Vanguard's grade, this unit gets plus 10,000 shield until end of battle. So for Affection Harp Angel, a powerful heal trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks of her skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of her skill are met, Affection Harp then can serve as a potential 20,000 point shield on her own. Ideally, Affection Harp is a counter heal best put against opponents who have Vanguards of higher grade than you. So in the situation when you go second in the game, or if your opponent plays a deck that specializes in having a higher grade, like a grade 4 or a G unit, Affection Harp then can serve as a powerful protector for you in your upcoming battles. And alright, the Great Zero, Affectionate Harp Angel, heal trigger, we have 2 in the deck. And then the Great Zero, Healer of Heavenly Staff, Arceus, heal trigger, we have 2 in the deck. And of that, which is about covered the deck's trigger lineup. Next. And of that, the deck's been built, card effects explained. For the cards in this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 3 Phantom Blaster Dragon, 4 Grade 3 Phantom Blaster Overlord, 1 Grade 3 Gradia Gretel, 4 Grade 2 Blaster Dart, 4 Grade 2 Skullwitch Nemen, 4 Grade 2 Knight of Severity, Kaleonia, 3 Grade 1 Aegis Mare Dragon, 1 Grade 1 Elementaria Sanctitude, 4 Grade 1 Witch of Pandering, Bruner, 1 Grade 1 Blaster Javelin, 3 Grade 1 Dragon Tree Wretch, Solda Sakap, 1 Grade 0 Full Bow, starting unit. And for the triggers in this deck, we are playing 1 Overtrigger, Amertonia, 8 critical triggers, 3 draw triggers, and 4 heal triggers. Okie dokie, deck built, card effects explained. Now, let's get on to testing out the deck. And here we are, back in the main menu, up to test out a deck, to the fight menu here, and selecting the CPU fight, selecting the deck I just showcased, the Keter Sanctuaries, Phantom Blaster Overlord, D-BT09 deck, and selecting the deck. Now choosing an opponent. The opponent I'm gonna test that deck out on, let's see. I think I'm gonna test it out on, how about Hatsuki Bunkyo, normal difficulty, and click. And the battle begins. Let's get started. And here we are in the fight. We're gonna decide who goes first. So, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock the scissors, I win going first. Drawing our starting hands, I got a perfect guard, critical, heal, persona ride, and a Nemen. Not a bad starting hand. Just gonna hold on to all the normal units, redraw triggers, redraw. Ah, come on, 2 criticals, seriously? My turn, draw. Yes, Phantom Blaster Dragon. I have all the components I need. So, starting first, I ride from my right deck, Blaster Javelin. Right deck cost, discarding a critical trigger, Volition Rigor, discard, and ride, Blaster Javelin. End of my turn, now it's my opponent's turn. My opponent is going to ride to Grade 1 in the Calm Streets Chaos, skill starting unit, he draws a card, and he calls Gungram to rear guard. He soul charges a... Yes! Draw triggers! 1 less card to worry about. He soul charges again. Yes! Persona Ride! Another less card to worry about. He's going straight for a full formation, huh? This is a tough choice. Should I just let all the attacks go through, or should I guard them? 8,000 power from the entire front row, and I only have 1 card to guard with, so... Not counting triggers, I think I'm gonna let the first attack go through. We'll see how the rest of the turn goes. No guard. Out. Damage check. Yes! Draw trigger! Just what I needed. Draw card. Power to Vanguard. I drew another draw trigger. Now, here comes the next attack from the Vanguard. 8k to 18k, 1 trigger to pass. No guard, gonna take a chance. Drive check. No trigger, safe. And so the attack fails. And... Ka-chink! End of my opponent's turn. My turn. Stand and draw. I ride from the right deck. Blaster Dart. Right deck cost. I am discarding Protection Magic Parabi. Discard and ride. Blaster Dart. Skill of Blaster Javelin. Superior Call, the top card of my deck. A heal trigger. Affectionate Harp Angel. Seriously? Ah, come on. Fine. Superior Call Harp Angel and activating Blaster Dart skill. Counterblast 1. Retire Affection Heart. Retire 1 rear guard, and my Vanguard gets Twin Drive. Retire Gungram. And that's it for my main phase. On to battle phase. Blaster Dark attacks the Vanguard. 10k, 2 Wind Drive. The attack goes through. First check. No trigger, Bruner. Second check. Another Bruner. So 1 damage. And slash. Damage check. Ah, heal trigger. Well, at least he has nothing to heal, so I guess I made the right choice. End of my turn, my opponent's turn. Here it comes. He rides the Grade 2, Quagmire of Solace, Chaos, Stardust, Grade 1 skill. He reveals a critical trigger and a Amazement Magician. So, to the soul, place the deck. The card he's placed in his soul is Amazement Magician. Skill of the Grade 2, Spartan. He soul charges 2 cards, a Pony and critical. He binds Pony from soul, soul charges 2 more, another Pony and another critical. Again, the same skill, bind and soul charging. Order card and Amazement Magician. And he calls another rear guard, so 10k from this side. 10k, 10k, 18k, not counting triggers. I only have 1 card to guard with, so I'll let the first attack go through. We'll see how the rest of the turn goes. No guard. Out. Damage check. Yes! Critical trigger. Lucky. Giving all effects to Vanguard. Crit up and power up. Now the remaining attacks cannot hit. 10k from Vanguard. That's 1 trigger to pass. No guard. Gonna take a chance. He checks. No trigger. Safe. The attack does not go through, so... Ka-chink. End of my opponent's turn, my turn. Stand and draw. I ride from the right deck, Phantom Blaster Overlord. Right deck cost, I am discarding. So many choices. I think I'm first gonna pay the right deck cost with a Blaster Dark, maybe? Nope. Discarding 1 Bruner from hand, discard, and ride. Phantom Blaster Overlord. I call Skull Witch Nemen to rear guard. Call. Nemen skill, Counterblast 1. Counter blast and put a card in hand from soul. To the soul. I place Phantom Blaster Dragon into the Soul. Here we go. Into Soul. Draw 2. And with Phantom Blaster Dragon in the Soul, my Vanguard gets +1 critical. Next, I am calling to the rear guard so many choices. I think I'm gonna call a Blaster Dart to rear guard and a Bruner to rear guard, maybe? Yeah, but then that's enough, so... Yep, that's enough. On to battle phase. First, my Skull Witch Nevin, boosted by Bruner, attacks the rear guard Amazement Frost, or... Yep, retire attacking Amazement Frost, 15k. The attack goes through, and boom! One less rear guard to worry about. Now, Phantom Blaster Overlord attacks the Vanguard. Skill activated, retire 2 of my own rear guards. I retire Nemen and Bruner. And then Superior call a Blaster Dart from the Soul. I call Blaster Dart. Call. The attack goes through. Twin Drive, first check. No trigger. Cleotnia, second check. Yes, critical trigger. That's 3 damage. Critical to my Vanguard. Power to Blaster Dark on the right. Crit up and power up. Here we go. Pierce. Damage check first. No trigger. Safe. Second check. Critical. Lucky him. He ups his power and critical. And the third check. No trigger. Safe. We can still attack. Next up, Blaster Dark on the left attacks Electro Spartan, 15k. The attack goes through. Slash. 1 less rear guard to worry about. Blaster Dark on the right attack the Vanguard, 25k. The attack goes through. Slash. Damage check. Oh, come on. Over trigger. The damage is negated and he draws more cards. So lucky. End of my turn, my opponent's turn. He rides the grade 3. Approaching Fang's Chaos. Skill of his grade 2. He soul charges a grade 2 piercing assistant and he calls Chaos from the soul to rear guard, paying the cost and calling a Mikani to rear guard. Mikani's skill. He retires a rear guard, a Blaster Dart. Mikani to the Vanguard. Let's see, Mikani's skill is when the Vanguard attacks, if there are 8 or more different cards, he can stand his unit. So in his soul, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He has enough cards to activate his restand, so I gotta pick to try and see how to make this work. So I think I'm going to guard with Skull Witch Nemen, or I'll let the Vanguard go through and we'll see how the rest of the attacks go. So we'll block the first attack. I intercept with Blaster Dark. Intercept. 18k. Attack blocked. And ka-chink. Safe. Here it comes. Vanguard. Skill of Mikani. It restands. And skill of his Vanguard. Power to Gungram. Guard with crit, a heal trigger, Arceus, guard, 28k, 2 triggers to pass. Already confirmed he has no more over triggers, so 2 to pass. First check, no trigger, perfect guard. That's not good. Second check, critical trigger, lucky him. Giving all effects to Gungram. That's a lot of power. Ka-chink. Now here comes Mikani, 13k. I guard with a critical trigger, Volition Rigor, guard, 28k. Attack blocked, and ka-chink, safe. Now the final attack. That's 34k from Gungram, 2 criticals. No guard, gonna take it.
No guard.
Ow. Damage check first. Yes, draw trigger, lucky, just what I needed. Draw. Power Vanguard. I drew Persona. Nope, just a regular Phantom Blaster. Second check. No trigger. Not one of the new cards. Come on. End of my opponent's turn. Skill of Mikani goes to Soul. And draw. Perfect guard. Not bad. It's time to Persona Ride. Persona Ride 2. Phantom Blaster Overlord. Persona Ride! Phantom Blaster Overlord! Power up, draw! Ah, come on, I drew a heal trigger? Seriously? Fine, then I'm going to call to the rear guard. Phantom Blaster Dragon. Wait, do I have enough cards in Soul? Yes, I do. I call Nemen to rear guard. Call Nemen skill, Counter Blast 1. Counter Blast and move Phantom Blaster Dragon into Soul. Draw 2 cards. Draw! Another Nemen and a Souled Salcap. Yes! I call Salcap to the... Yep, call Salcap to rear guard. Not gonna activate Salcap's skill. Next, I'm gonna call to the rear guard. Knight of Severity, Cleotnia to the rear guard. Call. And... calling the critical trigger, Blade Feather Dragon, the rear guard. Calling. That ought to be enough. Now, let's go to the battle phase. First up, Cleotnia unboosted attacks Gungram, 20k. The attack goes through, and slash! One less rear guard to worry about. Now Phantom Blaster Overlord to the Vanguard. Skill of Overlord. I retire 2 rear guards. I retire Cleotnia, treat as 2 cards. And... Superior Call Blaster Dart from drop or soul. From the drop zone, Blaster Dart. Power up. Power up, and Cleotnia skill. When sacrificed by a Vanguard Blaster, I give a rear guard Blaster Dark a skill. Giving Blaster Dark a skill, not activating Blaster Dark's own skill. He perfect guards to block my Vanguard, and he drops a critical for the cost. Twin Drive, first check. No trigger, Persona Ride, and second check. Yes, critical trigger, just what I needed. I give all effects to Skull Witch Nemen. Critical up and power up. The attack fails, but now Skull Witch Nemen, boosted by Solde Skyhawk, attacks the Vanguard. 38k, 2 crits. He double guards with 43k. The attack fails, but now boosted by Blade Feather Dragon, Blaster Dark attacks the Vanguard. Skill of Cleotnia. I can discard 1 card, discarding a Phantom Blaster Dragon to give my Blaster Dark the ability to drive check. He perfect guards. I knew that was coming, so he gets no cost. Drive check. Come on, something good. No trigger. So the attack fails, but I guess it's still a pretty good turn. That's the end of my turn. Blaster Dark is retired by its own skill, provided by Cleotnia, and not gonna activate Blade Feather, so end of my turn, my opponent's turn. Here it comes, he Persona Rides Chaos. And now he's going to activate his Vanguard skill. Drop, draw, and call a assistant. Vanguard, skill of Chaos. He gives power to his rear guard. I perfect guard with Aegis Mirror Dragon, perfect guard. Perfect guard cost, I discard for the cost A. Nemen, discard, perfect guard activated. Check first. Ah, heal trigger, so lucky, come on. The attack gets more powerful, second check. No trigger. And ka-chink. Now it's 46k to Vanguard. It's way too big. I don't want to waste my perfect guard, so no guard gonna take it. Ow! Damage check. No trigger. No Elementary Sensu. Not another good card. End of my opponent's turn. My turn. Stand and draw. Oh come on! I drew critical. Seriously? Fine. I Persona Ride Phantom Blaster Overlord. Here we go. Persona Ride Phantom Blaster Overlord. Draw card. I drew a Bruner, not bad. I call Skull Witch Nemen to rear guard, calling. And Nemen's skill, Counter Blast 1, Counter Blast. I move a rear Arshith from hand into soul and draw 2 cards. Draw! Yes, Cleotnia! No, over trigger, come on! Fine, I call Cleotnia to rear guard. Call! And I call Bruner to rear guard. Call! That ought to be enough. On to battle phase. Cleotnia, unboosted, attacks the Vanguard Chaos. 20k to 13k. The attack goes through. Slash. 1 damage. Damage check. No trigger. Safe. Now, boosted by Bruner, my Phantom Blaster Overlord attacks the Vanguard. 28k. 2 criticals. Skill of Overlord. I retire 2 rear guards. Retiring Cleotnia. Her skill treats her as 2 rear guards. Sacrifice Cleotnia. Superior Call Blaster Dart from the drop zone to rear guard. Call. Power up. Power up. And then Blaster Dark skill. Counter Blast 1. Counter Blast and retire 1 rear guard. Retire rear guard gets drive plus 1. I retired a rear guard. Piercing Assistant. Then Cleotnia skill. I give Blaster Dark a skill. The attack goes through. Twin Drive, first check. No trigger, Cleotnia. Second check. No trigger. Perfect guard, 2 damage. The attack goes through. Pierce. Damage check first. No trigger, Electro Spartan. Second check. Yes, draw trigger, 6 damage. He cannot heal. Trigger effect wasted and game over. I win. That was a pretty okay fight. I got to draw and use some of the new cards in this deck okay, and despite some unluckiness from my opponent's side, I still managed to win, so I got win, perfect guarded, opponent drew an over trigger, did a persona right, 8 turns passed, did a superior call, retired 5 or more opposing units, drew 3 or more times in 1 turn, I got 2250 VP, total 194,475 VP. Pressing A to go next, leaving fight, returning to fight menu. Here we are in the fight menu, leaving fight menu, going back to main menu, and from main menu to edit deck menu. With that, the deck's been built, card effects explained, and I just finished testing the deck out in front of you, so first I want to say is, thank you to the viewers for watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. I also hope you all show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And at that I say, goodbye and see you all.